This week's video is going to be different. We will talk about 7 investing highlights and contrarian ideas.
Innately contrarian.
By the US government.
Overvalued.
I sold for a loss.
I have 7 cards representing what got my attention this week. I figure if I found them interesting, you will like them as well. Let's check the cards. You can try to guess the topic. A big thanks to Catherine that helped out with this enhanced production. My original cards were a bit crooked. Okay, let's start with Mohnish Pabrai. Have you seen Mohnish talking with Sean at the first million?
It's a handicap situation for the S&P because it's overvalued. You know, it's sitting kind of elevated in valuations and such.
I'm not even sure if I can show this, but I will link the full episode below. Check it out, it's great.
And so I think that in general, the broad index of the S&P may not do that well for the next decade, just because there's been so much growth into the future in the last decade.
Very simple point, the S&P valuation is very high. The market will not do well in the next decade. The Shiller P/E ratio is so freaking high, it's a bit scary. Returns are going to be low. And this connects to another card, let me find it out. Doubling money. How long does it take to double our money investing? I want this time to be as short as possible, but I also want to control the risk of going broke. If we take the baseline of risk-free, 10 years US bond at 4.4, 4.5%, is going to take 16 years to double. For me personally, that's too long. I want to shorten the time, so I go looking and searching at the stock market. The S&P has doubled the money quite fast historically, especially in the last decade. But now everything is expensive. Let's take Coke, for example, one of the greatest companies of all time. With 4% growth, starting at $3 earning per share, Coke will need 18 years of earnings to repay today's $79 price. Same with Apple, Walmart, or growth stock like AMD or SanDisk. We go back to the Shiller P/E ratio. The market is expensive and it's hard to find company that will double our money in a reasonable time frame. On the other hand, there are a lot of stocks that double in price in a matter of weeks. The stock market is really crazy. My dream would be to double every 3-4 years. Dream? I know it's very hard, but I think it's possible. Let me know in the comments, do you think about it? How long will it take to double your money? Let's pick the next card. Adobe. Mohnish also said something very interesting about Adobe.
I think what is not understood well by the market is that software is not coding. Okay, coding is automated and will get even faster and whatever, but it may be at most 1/5 of the pie. And so just because you can get something coded quickly doesn't mean that Adobe is going out of business, or you don't need Photoshop and you don't need all the products that they have. And so I actually feel the market has got it wrong.
I noticed this part of the interview because it's a confirmation of my biases and my beliefs. In other words, I agree with Mohnish, software is not just coding. Meanwhile, Jeremy jumped ship.
Listen, I sold for a loss. It's never fun. It's never fun. It's the way it goes. We'll talk more about that, in just a moment. But, how to sell stock for a loss here today. And the stock is ADBE, Adobe. Yeah, lost a little over 20% in that stock and sold it for a loss here today.
Ultimately, I understand that he prefers CRM, and now, between the stocks that have the common narrative, what happened with AI to this business? Could it be disrupted? I own Adobe and people ask me all the time, will it get disrupted? I don't think it will, at least not in the short term. However, I can't be sure, I don't know the future, and the doubt starts penetrating in my mind. Will Adobe get disrupted? As long as this narrative continues, people keep selling. But this is the main reason why Adobe is trading so low. We can look at the numbers. Revenue is up. Cash flow is up. There is no clear indication of disruption. In 2009 and 2013, Adobe revenue went down. Still, they did not get disrupted. Today, every single metric is pointing up. Maybe AI will disrupt Adobe. However, as a contrarian, I'm very happy to invest in a hated company with a very negative story attached, but great numbers. June 11 is the next Adobe earnings call. All we need is a change in narrative. Let's pick Forecaster. Let's take a second to thank Forecaster, the only sponsor of this channel. A couple of months ago I made this video about commodities and the COT report strategy that you can see in Forecaster. This is what I was saying. I'm not telling you to drop everything and run to buy cocoa, but definitely keep an eye on this indicator. Look carefully every single time the producer starts buying instead of selling. We are very close to market lows. Have you checked what happened to cocoa? Let me show you. Up. The COT strategy would have clearly worked. Now there are other commodities in buying territory, so click the link below, try Forecaster, check the COT report, and use the discount coupon code ADRI to support this channel. Thank you. Next card. Can you recognize him? It's Howard Marks. He also got interviewed this week. Check it out.
I think that we are what's called contrarians. I think we're, my partner Bruce Karsh and I are essentially innately contrarian, which is to say that we are most comfortable doing the opposite of what the herd is doing at the extreme because we see its error.
You find the link below if you want to check the full interview. I really like that he also declares himself to be a contrarian. But could contrarianism be learned?
What I think is, I get all these questions. Can you learn this? Can you learn that? Can you learn this? Can you learn to be unemotional? Can you learn to be what I call a second level thinker? Can you learn to be a contrarian? The answer is, I can tell you why it's important. I can explain to you why it's essential. Is it something you can ingest? I don't know. You know, I, for some reason or another, come by it naturally.
I believe it's better to follow our natural personality. I know many of you guys love to follow trends. It's perfectly fine. Trend following, it's working great. Very happy for you. It's just not my style. As Howard, I prefer to buy the unloved companies and hated assets. Both missing cards are hated investment at the moment. Bitcoin. I rarely speak about crypto, but I'm a long-term hodler. Have you noticed? Lately, no one talks about Bitcoin. There is zero buzz around it. Check it out. Bitcoin, very low search volume. More people worldwide are searching for AMD than Bitcoin. I find it intriguing. Crypto bottoms usually happen when there is no interest, when no one talks about it. Crypto YouTubers like Altcoin Daily with 1.6 million subscribers get 30k views. Not so much more than myself, while a couple of years ago it was getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views. There is no crypto interest. And the best part is that the USA have this crypto Arma bill about Bitcoin. Erzi talk about it in this video.
This bill would authorize the Treasury to purchase up to 200,000 Bitcoin per year for 5 years, and that would get them to 1 million Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. A little less than 5% of the entire Bitcoin supply would be owned and held by the US government.
If this passes, it's not just huge, it's a history. If the US government buys 5% of the entire Bitcoin reserves, probably other countries will feel the need to have a Bitcoin reserves as well. It would be an unprecedented increase in Bitcoin demand with probably a diminishing in Bitcoin supply since the halving is coming in a couple of years. If this happens, Bitcoin price explode. To me, this seems like an asymmetric risk-reward investment, perfect for contrarians. Last card left, Duolingo. Nothing much to say about it apart from the fact that my obsession with the stock continues. I keep talking about it in every video and Duolingo keeps lagging behind. Last week we had the softer stocks bouncing but Duolingo barely moved. Apart from hundreds of comments of people saying I should sell Duolingo immediately, I do not have any reason to sell, so I will keep holding and see what happens. By the way, I read every single comment you guys write. I value your opinion, your suggestion for this channel, and I try to answer every single comment personally. Economics will not exist without you watching. Thank you very much. See you next week. Peace out.